Hey y'all, welcome back to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. Today we are making sweet potato dinner rolls and they are so good. They're perfect for fall. I love them for Thanksgiving. These are so soft. Look at this. Look how light and fluffy they are. Just beautiful. So if you're looking for a homemade dinner roll for Thanksgiving, you can't go wrong with these. Let's get started. And what we're gonna need is flour, eggs, salt, sugar, pumpkin pie spice, browned butter. And if you don't know how to do this, I do have a video about how to do it, and I'll link to it at the end. Brown sugar, yeast, potato water, potato water, and I have warmed this up. I'm going to use it when it hits about 110 degrees, and it is at 114 right now, so that's going to take a minute. And sweet potato, which I have here, and active dry yeast. If you use rapid rise yeast, that's fine. Just add the rapid rise yeast in with the first cup of flour, and you're going to skip the proofing step with the potato water. Now, potato water, what is it? Somebody asked me where you get potato water, if she could get it at the grocery store, what aisle it was in. No, you cannot get it at the grocery store. Potato water is simply unsalted water that you've used to boil potatoes. I don't salt my water when I boil potatoes because potato water is really good about helping bread to rise. If you don't have potato water and you don't want to use potato water, you can use a cup of regular water heated to like 110 degrees, or you can use a cup of milk heated to 110 degrees, whichever. You just need a liquid, but I prefer the potato water, and if you've never tried it, do try it because it works really, really well. We need half a cup of sweet potato mashed. You can use canned sweet potato or fresh. I've used fresh. Half a cup is about one sweet potato. I cooked two. I just stick a knife in them and throw them in the microwave for 5 minutes. I use two in case this isn't going to end up being half a cup, but I think it looks like it's probably half a cup. And all you need to do is go through it and mash it. If you've got any hard parts, like where the stem was like that, just get rid of it and mash it really well with a fork or a potato masher. Somebody is going to ask me, I know this, somebody is going to ask me if they can substitute pumpkin, and I'm going to say no. And the reason is that sweet potato is much drier than pumpkin, so I wouldn't substitute it in this recipe because I think you're going to end up with your dough being way too wet. There's plenty of recipes for pumpkin rolls. I should probably do mine at some point, but I would use one of those, okay? All right, so that's nice and mashed, and I'm just going to measure it and make sure it's half a cup. And when you measure it, you want to really push it down. See, this is not going to be quite half a cup, I can tell you right now. So I'm going to need some of the other one. Okay, so I'm going to mash this other one, and I'll be right back. Okay, it took me about 1.5 small sweet potatoes to get half a cup of mashed. It may take you a little more, a little less. Again, you can use canned drained sweet potatoes. Just make sure to drain them really well. I think you get more flavor if you get fresh sweet potatoes and or yams and bake them in the microwave. Like, it takes like 5 minutes, and I think your flavor is much better. So that's what I suggest, but use canned if you want. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to add my yeast, which is just 1 packet of active dry yeast, which again, if you're going to use the rapid rise, be sure you don't need to do this step. You're just going to put the rapid rise yeast in with 1 cup, the first cup of the flour, okay? So I've got that, and I'm going to add a little sugar, and I want to make sure that this is sugar, not salt. It is. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of sugar, and then I'm going to add my potato water or milk or plain water, and it's going to be around somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees. I'm going to give that a little stir, And I'm gonna wait for about 5 minutes while that yeast starts working and wakes up, all right? And I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes and the yeast has foamed up really nicely, so it's ready to work. And I'm just gonna swirl that around a little bit and put it right in my mixing bowl. I want the eggs to be slightly beaten, so make sure they're at room temperature, and go ahead and put them in a little measuring cup or a bowl and get those beaten up. If your eggs are cold, you forget to get them out of the fridge or whatever, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll fill a cup with hot water, like as hot as possible, and I'll gently put my eggs in there and let them sit for a few minutes, and that warms them right up. So, all right, we're gonna put the remaining sugar. There's the brown sugar and the white sugar, the sweet potato, the browned butter. If you do not want to brown the butter, if you don't want to go to that trouble, you don't have to. Just make sure it's melted and cooled down to about 110 degrees. And then I'm going to put my eggs in. Remember, all of this is at room temperature or slightly warm. And then we're going to mix that up. And I'll be back in just a minute. All right, once that's all mixed up, we're gonna take 1 cup of flour. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. And our pumpkin pie spice, I'm gonna mix that up really well. And then we're gonna put our salt in there. And this is kosher salt. If you use regular table salt, you want to use about 1/4 less. So if it calls for a teaspoon, you want to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of regular table salt. But just remember that there's a difference in measurement between kosher salt, which has a larger crystal, than table salt, which has a smaller crystal. If the shadows look weird today, it's because we have a thunderstorm going on outside, and it's affecting my light, which is fine with me. I love thunderstorms. It's my favorite kind of day. Okay, we're gonna get that all mixed up, and then we're gonna put this in and mix it up a little bit. When it's all mixed up, I'm going to take off this paddle, and I'm going to put on the dough hook just because it makes it so much easier for me. You can leave the paddle on until the dough gets thicker, but I don't. So whichever way you want to do it. At some point, you're going to have to switch over to the dough hook. Before I switch to the dough hook, I'm just going to run this around the bottom and make sure that there's nothing sticking to the bottom. Put the dough hook on. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to add the remaining flour a little bit at a time. Now, you may need all the flour. You may need a little extra flour. You may need less flour. It changes day to day. It can change with the weather. In wetter, more humid weather, a lot of times you'll need more flour. In drier weather, especially like in the wintertime when the heater's on, you may need less flour. It changes with the brand of flour. So this is not exact, and it just takes some experience to know how the dough should feel. I'm going to just touch the flour and see how it is right now and just see where I'm at. You can see that it's still very sticky, so it still needs more flour. And we haven't put all the flour in yet. I wanted to check it when we got 3 cups in there just to make sure that we were going to need more. Okay, the dough is still pretty sticky. I'm going to hand knead it the rest of the way. I'm just going to sprinkle my countertop with a little flour. It's not going to need much. And bring this out. This isn't going to need much more flour to get it where it needs to be. But this way I can control it better because I can feel it. And so I'm just going to knead it. And it's sticky, but it's not so sticky that it's sticking to my hands too bad. So when you put it out on the counter and you're going to hand knead it a little bit, do not use a lot of extra flour. I had about 3/4 of a cup of flour left. Just remember, it's about how the bread feels. It's about how the dough feels more than it is specific amount of flour. Okay, when the dough has been kneaded enough, it's going to be elastic. That means that when you pull a piece out, it's going to pull back down. Pull it out, and it's going to pull back down. This is a slightly sticky dough because it's enriched with the eggs and the butter and all the things. You don't want it to be not sticky at all because the bread will be very dense. You want to keep it a little bit sticky and a little bit moist so it's lighter and fluffier. Okay, we're going to grease a large bowl with some melted butter. You can use oil. Some people use non-stick cooking spray, but I don't like that as well. I like to use the melted butter. And then we're going to take our ball of dough that's been kneaded, and we're going to put it in and flip it over and make sure that all of the sides are oiled well. We don't want it to develop a crust while it's rising. I'm just going to pop a clean tea towel over it, and I'm going to put it in the oven on proof. I've got a proofing setting on my oven, and it will rise in there for about an hour. Any warm place in your house will work. Some people put it on top of the water heater. Some people turn the oven on for a few minutes, just until it's barely warm, and then turn the oven off and put it in. That way, if your kitchen is warm, you can keep it on the counter. You want kind of a place that's at least 80 degrees. A proofing oven will keep it at about 110 degrees. So somewhere in there between 80 and 110 degrees, if possible. If your kitchen is cold, it will take longer for the bread to rise. That's just the way it is. You can't hurry it. If you don't have a place to put it where you can keep it like really warm, then just don't plan on it rising in an hour. It may take an hour and a half. It may take 2 hours. It may take a little bit more than that. In fact, if your house is really cold, you could even put plastic wrap over this and let it rise in the refrigerator overnight, okay? But then go ahead, you're gonna wanna do the rest of it first thing in the morning. You don't wanna leave it for longer than that. All right, I'll see you guys back here in about an hour. You can tell that it's double just because of how much bigger it is in the bowl. But the way to tell for sure is to put your finger in it like that. And if it doesn't pop back out, then you know that the dough is doubled. This is a very soft, very airy and light dough. So we're going to turn it out onto our board and just gently get the air out of it. We want to do it gently because we actually want to keep as much air as possible. There. So now I'm going to let it set for just a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and shape the rolls. Okay, I've got 16 of my rolls all ready to be shaped. So I'm going to shape these several different ways so you have the opportunity to see different ways of doing it. The most common way, of course, is just a round roll, and in order to do that, you're going to poke your fingers up through it and then close the bottom part of your fingers around and twist. The bottom side will look kind of like that. The top side will be completely smooth. And that's just a round roll. And you put that on your baking sheet. You can put it like really close together for soft sides, or you can make them further apart for crustier sides. So we'll do another one like that. And there it is, nice smooth top. All right, now we're going to do one a little different. We're going to make it like a Parker House roll, which you flatten it out into a pancake, kind of thick, about like that. About 2/3 of the way up, or 1/3 of the way down, whichever you look at it, you want to take the dull side of your knife and just push down like that. Don't cut through it, but push down all the way to the bottom. And then you just fold that over like that. And they look like that. They have that little crease going down them. If you wanted to do a braided roll, you would cut it in 3 equal pieces. Roll it out like Play-Doh, each piece, and you want them to be pretty even. Then you're just going to pinch the top together like that. Pinch this one on this top, and then you're going to braid it just like it was your hair. Just one over, and then over, and then over, and then over, and then over. When you get to the bottom, you're going to pinch that together and tuck the ends underneath. So you have a little braided roll. Okay, for a cloverleaf roll, you're going to need a muffin tin. Put all this dough back here so it's out of the way. And you're going to spray your muffin tin really well with, I always do this part with cooking spray, or you could butter it with melted butter, either way. And then you're going to take your piece of dough and you're going to cut it in 3 equal parts. So there's 1, there's 2 and 3. You're going to roll it into a ball, each part into a ball. And try to make them the same size. I'm rushing through this, so probably I'm not going to be making them the same size, but do try, they'll look a lot prettier. And then you put that one in like that. Make another ball and put that one in like that. And when that rises, it'll rise up, it'll make cloverleaf rolls. So there are our cloverleaf rolls. Okay, these used to be called snails, and you take your whole piece of dough and roll it out, and then simply twist it into itself loosely. And you could either put this in a muffin cup like this to bake, or put it on the cookie sheet, either way. Fan tans. So fan tans are kind of cool. You take your dough and you roll it out. Let me grab my rolling pin. You roll it out in a square, and then you cut it in 3. I've got my honey cinnamon butter glaze here. Brush it very lightly, not too much. And then we're just going to put these in sideways like this. And this one like this. And you can kind of mush them around to fit in there. That's fine. And then give it another little brush. Okay, you can also do a braid this way. I've got 2 more to go in here. And so I'm going to do another type of braid. And this one's a little more complex, but it's not a big deal. So roll your dough out to make your braid, to make your strands of your braid. And make the braid just like you did with that. But you're making this a little thinner. You're making the rolls a little longer, okay? But you're still going to turn the ends under. But what you're going to do is once you turn the ends under, like that, you're going to keep rolling it. So that instead of being a long braid like this, it's going to be a round knot like that. You can either put it on the cookie sheet like this, or you can you can either put it in the muffin tin like this, or like this. I put the last one in like this, so I'm going to do this one with the braid upright so you can see what the difference is, if there is actually one. Once we have all of our rolls in the pan, we're going to brush it with some more of the butter mixture. And then we're going to let those rise for 30 minutes. Okay. If your kitchen's cold, it may take a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but we're going to let those rise for 30 minutes. Okay, these have risen really well. They're nice and puffy, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in the oven at 375 for 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'll be back. So these are the round rolls and the braided rolls. And I brushed them with the honey butter and cinnamon mix about 5 minutes before they came out of the oven. And they came out so pretty. They're shiny and they've just got that sweet glaze on them. Not too sweet, still a dinner roll, but think of, the way that the rolls are at Logan's or Texas Roadhouse, a little sweet. And these are all the rolls that were in the muffin tin. And so let's go over the different ones. These are the braids, of course. These are the round ones. These are the cloverleaf, the Parker House, and this Parker House roll kind of lost its design there. These are the snail rolls. These are the fan tans. And these are the braided rolls that we twisted around and put in the muffin cups. So there's the braided ones right there. And then the Parker House rolls and the snail rolls and the clover leaves right there. And then the braids and then the round rolls. There's no reason not to just do the round rolls. It's just, I thought that I would show you a couple of different kinds. So if you wanted to do something fancier for the holidays, you'd have that opportunity. All right, let's let them cool down a little bit and I'll be right back. Here are our rolls. If you wanted to take the time, you could actually make an assortment of different shaped rolls. And it's kind of pretty this way in a bread basket or whatever. But you could do all round ones, that's quick and easy. You could do all clover leaf, that's quick. You know, do whatever you want because they're gonna be beautiful anyway and people are gonna love them. So let me grab one to cut into. I think, I'll take the clover leaf and let's pull that open. Look how soft and light that is. Oh my gosh, it's so good. There we go. That is gorgeous. Here, let me show you the shred again because it's so pretty. Same roll. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. They are so light and so fluffy. They've got just a hint of sweet potato taste. If somebody doesn't like sweet potatoes, they're not going to be overwhelmed with sweet potatoes. It's literally just a hint. I think if you put more sugar in there, if you wanted them a little sweeter, you get more of a sweet potato taste. But I think they're perfect the way they are. Perfect for fall. You're going to love them all season long, but especially for Thanksgiving, okay? All right, that's it for this week. I hope you try these. I hope you love them. And I hope you come back next time. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, love y'all. Bye-bye.